All right, we're going live here. Okay, yeah, we are appear to be live. Cool. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. Just for context, before we dive in, so my name is Asia Arangio. I'm joined by my lovely co-host Kim Delarzik, and we both work for a company called Demand Maven. At Demand Maven, we are really focused on troubleshooting growth for SaaS companies, PLG companies, and when we say growth, we're looking at not just customer acquisition or even customer activation or new user activation, but we're really looking at the entire experience and we're troubleshooting growth along the way. So that includes retention, net revenue retention. We're also looking at, of course, activation. We're looking at pricing, monetization, and I want you to think about it kind of like dialing it in across all of those areas of growth. And this is our fundamental core belief in terms of how we think about SaaS companies, but especially PLG companies accomplish their goals and just grow at incredible speed. So a lot of the things that we like to look at also too are products, and we try a lot of products all the time. Kim, I feel like you are like constantly in AI products and AI tools,
Mhm.
so I'm excited to take a look at this with you. I actually have jumped ahead a little bit, and I've actually already taken a look at this product, but we do like to try new tools and take note of the things about their marketing experiences that are working, and also things that we really like about their activation experiences. And the stuff that we like, we tend to take mental note of. That's why I like these tear down these audits, so to speak, because again, they just give us like really cool ideas from some of our clients. Um, and yeah, so this product, I'm excited about this one. I actually did jump ahead and I tried it already, but it actually worked out because since I've used it a little bit, I can kind of point to like, okay, this is what I think works really well, and this is what I don't think works as well. I'm not sharing my screen yet, but I will here in a second. But the product is called AirOps, and yeah, it is an AI tool that specializes in content. There are lots of AI tools. I feel like we find new ones every day. And I think the jury is out in terms of, like how do these AI tools differentiate? How do they, really like make their mark, so to speak, on the industry? And how do they continue to create, not just create value, but obviously like create sustainable value that makes sense. And also value that, isn't just going to be eclipsed like, by the next update of, the next LLM or whatever it is. I think that's kind of the interesting part about seeing how AI tools come together. But anyway, I'll pause there. Kim, oh, we lost Kim. Just kidding. Oh no. Well, I was gonna say, I've obviously been talking a lot, but would love to hear from Kim on, yeah, just like, curious about her thoughts and impressions because I feel like every week she brings me like new tools to look at, because there's always something. All right, I'm going to. Kim's internet probably just like went out for a second, so we'll let her rejoin. But I am going to share a screen here, and we're gonna talk about the website. And yeah, we'll take it from there. Uh, I think that was the intro. That was everything. I'll start sharing. Let's see. Oh, my pop-up. Here we go. So we are going to share just this tab. I'm gonna adjust the layout a little bit. Let's see. And actually, yeah. So when Kim joins, we should see her pop up below. And do I want to show my title? It's taking up a lot of space. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. I think I usually just do my first name because I think it does take up quite a bit of space. There we go. That's a little better. Okay. All right. So we have the site. I remember thinking this is AirOps. I remember thinking like it feels like a really clean experience. It feels like an AI tool, but there are certain elements to the website that makes me feel like it does like a little bit more than just AI. I don't know how to describe it, but AI platforms and tools have like a look, and it's a very it, uh, and it might just be that like these are new products, these are new brands, and they just haven't done brand work yet. I remember thinking like, oh, AirOps feels like it does feel like an AI platform, but it feels like an AI platform that has like branded, if that makes any sense. Like everything from like the logo, like this is not just like a, super common sans serif font. Like it feels like, there's Kim. Welcome back.
I'm back. I got kicked off.
Oh, well, I'm glad you made it back. I was just talking about how AirOps as a brand doesn't feel like a typical AI product, uh, because I think they have done brand work. If that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was talking about how like a lot of the AI tools kind of like have like the same look and feel, and
You know what's
like right,
funny?
like
Because we were just talking about this with Granola's little mini rebrand. Not, I don't want to call it a rebrand, but maybe it kind of
yeah,
was.
yeah, it's a
Um,
rebrand. Yeah,
yeah, like, and you had said it doesn't like it's almost like they're trying to not look like a classic AI, and I get the same feel from this.
yeah, yes. Granola is a note taker platform. I think I actually did I did a like a try with
It,
me. I think if
yeah,
I'm not
I
mistaken,
think you
and it
did
was
with. I don't think I was there. I can't remember.
yeah, it was. I remember being very impressed. It's our favorite note taker slash like AI note taker of choice. But yeah, they just rebranded, and yeah, it's got a similar vibe.
Yeah,
Different, but still like yeah, like it clearly is an investment in a brand.
right.
So AirOps gives me that impression. But before you jumped off, I was just saying how like I feel like we constantly find AI tools. I wasn't sure if there was anything you wanted to add to that, but
Yeah,
I
I'm
just feel
trying.
like we're
Yeah, I
we're
know.
always finding things.
Always finding things. It's like off the top of my head, I can't remember the last few that I've tried. I feel like I've been demoing quite a few lately to
Yeah,
check them out.
so many. Um, okay, cool. So, also for context, I got introduced to AirOps by Brendan Hufford of Growth Sprints, and I remember him mentioning this product, and I was intrigued because AI and content. Um, that is probably one of the first areas of opportunity I think for AI, and we've seen a lot already in a very short amount of time when it comes to combining AI and content. And yeah, I was very intrigued by how AirOps does this differently because I think the status quo right now is to kind of feed Claude or feed ChatGPT some prompts or content or whatever, and then have that create the content. But I was curious, like, how does AirOps like tackle this process? Right off the bat, though, website wise, I mean, we're gonna see elements here that feel very modern. I think design wise, it's the I don't know if you're noticing this menu jump here. It's like
Yeah,
it
yeah.
like gets stuck maybe. Okay, it's not doing it anymore, but it seems to like there is a place where I can scroll and it will start to jump a lot anyway. But there are definitely like design elements that feel very like modern, and I think we're going to see a lot of that here. So for example, this video uh, which I can play, and it looks like it's
Hi, I'm Alex, and we've raised.
well, that was so loud. Sorry. I think I am piping in audio from my tab, but that was very loud. However, uh, yeah, like I don't think this is like a typical player. We have like a this is so specific, so design specific. We have like a border around the video that automatically gives it like a specific look and feel. Most of what oh, this highlight has like a different color. Interesting. That's not what I
Mm,
expected. That's like a it's just like a really niche specific design element as part of the site.
yeah.
Sans serif. I will say copy wise, like I really like this headline. I like how big it is. I like how it takes up space. I like how I liked that this was a video. Pausing it, I lose the image. Let me see if I can. Yeah, I won't. I guess I could refresh. Let's refresh and see if I go back to the main preview. Because it turns to the founder. Yeah. So
Hmm.
I like that I have this preview image of like what this is going to be. It automatically gives me the impression of, yep, this is for content creation. But yeah, craft content that wins with, fill in the blank type of search. And it's all the different AI and LLMs, whether it's Google, Claude, Perplexity. I think that's that logo, ChatGPT. Yeah, OpenAI. So yeah, like automatically, like this feels like, yeah, I mean, this is a modern site. This scroll element is actually, I just noticed this. I didn't notice this before. So this is all social credibility. It's scrolling through. And as I hover over each element, it pauses. But depending on like if it has like a case study button, I can click the case
Mm,
study,
I like
which is
that.
pretty cool. I do too. Most scrolling elements like this do nothing. Like they just kind of scroll. Like they're just like, yep, here we are, you know.
Yep.
But this
Yep.
actually has like a navigation, which is cool. 6% increase in AI attributed to signups and days. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I don't see this often.
I get like
I like that.
an intercom vibe. Like new intercom. Just that
Yeah.
content heavy feel.
Yeah, it's very editorial.
Yeah.
We've switched to a serif font. This is interesting. This is very like again, very modern.
Oh, is that doing it on its own, or are you,
So I am scrolling and
oh, and
as
then
I
it's just
scroll,
highlighting?
yeah, it completes, I guess. AI is reshaping how people discover and connect with brands. Search is evolving. AirOps is where big ideas become real results. Yeah. So this to me is very with such a just breakneck pace and speed of evolution that AI is experiencing. This to me is AirOps kind of like placing a stake in the ground and being like, this is who we are and this is what we believe. This is our ethos or our pathos or whatever. Um, that and I think it makes sense for like for a platform like this that is betting pretty heavily on AI. Makes a lot of sense. Um, but yeah, very, pretty standard section. This is where the website gets interesting. And I remember thinking this too, like you don't get much of an impression of this like up here. Like I don't get the feeling that this website's going to do anything different or be anything special until I get to this section. And
Mm.
this is where their website actually does get kind of interesting. Or at least to me. So most websites, and especially like if you watched these try with me's before, um, they will do these like you see like the tabs module where usually there's some type of like image element with text and there are tabs so you can click on okay the marketing tab or the sales tab or whatever and it'll switch to the value propositions for that particular product. This is doing something different. It's still kind of like a tabs module, but it's got like a loading bar. There's an animation happening here. This doesn't seem like a video. Like this seems like an actual like animation video that's playing of some kind that I can't pause. I have no control over it. I don't even think I can. Okay, I can stop the loop. But then as this loading bar happens, it switches to the next thing. And so like it's so going from insights to action is kind of what this seems to be promoting. I still have some type of visual here. There's text with some value propositions or like more specifics about the features at the bottom. But this is a very interesting page element. It's just something that I thought was interesting, like in terms of how they're structuring or designing this particular module or component on the page. We don't see things like this often. I
Mm.
feel like with where AirOps is in their brand journey, and also because they are an AI, like we are expecting them to be like there's already like a pressure for them to be, what's the word, innovative and different and visionary. And I think their website is subconsciously speaking to that, if that makes any sense. Like this is not like a typical,
Yeah, I
left,
was trying to
right.
think.
Mhm.
Right. I don't know if this would be one of their competitors, and I didn't look any up before we jumped on, but Koala was like a content SEO tool. I'm just thinking about that experience. This is just heads and shoulders above. So clearly,
Mm.
it's a good point that you just made. Makes sense.
Yeah, and it's one of those like design to me is so subconscious. Like so much of it has to communicate a message without saying the words like literally necessarily. Like I think great design like visually communicates ideas without trying too hard. And I feel like this is a great example of like this to me is where like modern design is going. And I love seeing the visuals here. They are moving a little fast. I do kind of wish I could pause. I also like yes, I can click to action and switch to the next thing, but this is going to load and run out of time and I can't pause it. I can't stop it and like take my time. This is going to fill up and then it's going to go back to insights and then I'll be like, "Wait, click back to action." Because maybe I'm not done reading. I don't know. So this is moving very fast, but I do appreciate it for what it is. I also like that it's kind of telling us like, "Hey, engage with me." Um, so yeah, so like I said, it's very subtle. It's not. It's. I'm not gonna suggest that like this was super hyper intentional, like in that way, but it does give me that impression, I guess, if that makes any sense. But anyway, so looking at this, I remember looking at the page and I, to be honest, did not really get far on this homepage. I don't know if you can see my scroll bar. Okay, you can. This is kind of a longer page. I remember not really getting through the whole thing and just kind of like being like, I'm just gonna sign up. I was like, this is a lot that's happening on this page. Uh, but from what I did see, I appreciated like design wise at least like what they were trying to accomplish. This is where we get into social credibility. This is big social credibility. We don't see modules or components this big this often. What I mean by that is like it's taking up like almost the entire screen. I am on my 15-inch Mac because this is what most people probably are using. Maybe not Mac, but at least like this size. I could put it up on like my larger monitor, um, but I wanted to see it kind of like in my assumption of what most people probably would see anyway. And if we could do mobile, I would show mobile, but I digress. This is very large and in charge. They've got like case studies here. These are like name, title, the quote, the person, and this is a similar module where there's like a loading bar. It's still a tab type situation, but it's loading over time and yeah, switching and kind of showing people that this is interactive or engaging or it's interactive in some kind of way. Uh, they continue this like design style and trend as we go. I would say this is kind of where it calms down a little bit, messaging wise, and this is what's really funny about like when you're actually using something for yourself. I tend not to actually read a lot of content. I kind of skim.
Mhm.
Most people I think do. Uh, if I were to read this though, my guess is that it's going to be pretty straightforward, and it's my guess is there aren't gonna be too many, like, big punches when it comes to content. Or at least copy. It's gonna be pretty straightforward. Even just reading, like, the headlines, like, "Turn your strategy into content that wins," like, to me, the promise here is we're not just going to create content for you or help you create content, we're going to give you control of the process, and you are also going to be able to, like, orchestrate and collaborate, like, in the way that you want. Their big thing too has been workflows, and I remember, like, when I signed up for the product, if I had actually read the website, I would have gotten this much faster, but their thing seems to be more like giving content creators, or marketers the control over the workflow process itself, so that way you can have more control over the output, is kind of like it seems to be like their way of thinking, like their logos, I guess. Um, but yeah, I really didn't have any critiques, I guess. When it comes to the site, it's so tough because you don't know how it performs. But I just remember thinking like, "Okay, this is visually appealing." I get the impression that they are trying to, again, be very visionary, like, when it comes to this type of process, and I think they're also trying to show that they have other, like, marketing thought leaders and, almost all the roles that we're gonna see on this website are gonna be marketing related. They are trying to be pioneers in the marketing space when it comes to content creation and AI. So that was the vibe I got, and I didn't really do much reading beyond that, to be honest. I just remember thinking like, "Oh, this is cool." And even like this module, this element here, I mean, yeah, like this is very engaging, it's interactive, like it it like visually, we don't see design elements like this often. Usually
Yeah.
the design elements for social credibility are like really clean, like they're very uniform, I should say. This is clean. It's not uniform, which I appreciate. So yeah, so like they're taking design risks, which I think is cool.
Yeah. And it looks like
This is
are
yeah,
most of the
go ahead.
CTAs to book a demo?
Yes. Pretty much everything is book a demo. My assumption is based on their we have more social cred. Based on their customers, like we've got like Carta, Chime, Webflow, like these are pretty large
Yeah.
companies. Ramp.
Yeah.
Um I'm going to assume that they're really looking at content operations at scale. Um and so like they want people really to book a demo. We're going to look at pricing here in a second, um but, it seems like they have, like, an enterprise SaaS play, and they still offer the self-service because, like, there are gonna be people who wanna see it first and then book the demo and vice versa. Like, they wanna book the demo and then immediately kinda, like, jump in and see, like, what they can see. So it's the same model as like Airtable or, any of the others that kind of go after companies like this. But
Yep.
yeah, it makes sense. This is very, very specific. These like green lines feel like they were part of a Figma mockup that just didn't get deleted.
Interesting.
um, I like it. Like I don't dislike it, but it kind of looks like guidelines that someone just forgot to delete.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hmm.
It's how they're like aligning everything, but I like that. I don't know. It's like I said, like I feel like they're doing like not like edgier design things because I don't think that like this is still a pretty tangible. This is very linear in how we're thinking about it. This isn't like what I see on some agency websites, for example, where they're like really like doing wild, crazy stuff for their website. Um, like this still feels like pretty structured. But yeah, no,
Right.
I think it's interesting. Like they're choosing certain design like ways to create visual interest or like take risk or what have you. So no, yeah, it's interesting. Okay, so from our research to your roadmap, AI search evolves fast. Research team looks at what's changing, what's working, and shares the reports. You need to stay ahead. Okay, yeah, stay 10 steps ahead. Stay 10 steps ahead. It's hard to say, actually. This looks like it's their oh yeah, their insights section. Okay, this is very pretty.
Mm.
Oh, that is interesting. We don't really get like I get a feel for brand on this page. I see colors here. You see them also here. I don't get the feeling of like a unified palette.
Yeah.
That's not a dig. I just was kind of thinking like, oh, this is the first brand that I've seen where there's like I'm not really sure what its colors are, but I get the feeling green is a big one.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's the one thing I just see different greens, but
A lot of different greens, and I see some pinks and purples here. Or I guess that's like a burgundy type vibe. And then yeah, and we have more colors, blues, pinks, yellows. Yeah. I
mm,
know some of these people. That's really funny. Um yeah, too funny. Anyway, and then we get to blue. Interesting.
yeah.
Is this brand confused?
That blue. Well, at first it looked purple to me, and then
Yeah.
I think it is blue. Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty. That's really interesting. And not even really a criticism. I think it's just like, oh, it wasn't what I was expecting, but yeah. And
Mhm.
then the blue. Yeah, very interesting. And it's what's funny to me is like at this top half, like I don't think you think that the page is going to do what it does here.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. There was a page that I clicked on. Oh, was it Insights? I'm looking at the menu. Okay, wow. Okay, there's a lot happening here in the menu. This is what we
Oh, it's one of
call
those
like
menus.
yeah, it's like a kitchen menu. Um Very interesting how it's structured. Yeah, we have like these two content modules, AirOps University, AI Search Playbook. We have actual resources here. I think it was research that I was on. And this is kind of where I was like, "Oh, these are really pretty together." I like how that feels. But you scroll down and I feel like we're getting into maybe like older brand territory possibly. Possibly. I don't
Mm.
know. I guess yeah, this is what all the AI tools feel like right here.
Mhm.
Get the latest on AI search, like these colors, this like swooshy, abstract, the topography, all of this feels like very AI, if that makes any sense. I guess it's got that look.
Yeah.
You go to the homepage and it doesn't feel like it feels a bit more organic, which, like I said, it'll be interesting to see how these brands like all differentiate from each other. But right now, at least on this page, it kind of looks the same until you get to the top, and then it kind of looks different. And it's like, ooh, this has like a bit more of like a has more of like a vibe going.
Right, it's back to that editorial look there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty. It's just yeah, it's interesting to see the brand evolve. Cool. I want to look at the pricing page. And do a time check. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No prices immediately up front, at least. They at least if you're on the smaller side, they definitely want you to sign up. These icons are very small. Answer engines.
Are those
See how small
words
that is?
small to you too? Because they're very small to me.
They are very small.
Okay.
Yeah, this is all pretty small. Ooh, very small. I can't hardly see that. I need my glasses. This happened to me last time. I was doing a try with me and I was like, "Oh, I need glasses." Let me like reach into my drawer really quick and get them. Yeah, I remember thinking this last time, but for a different reason. But yeah, y'all. I know that most of us are probably like most of us in tech probably do have like a large monitor. Um, but there are use cases for even with a large monitor, like you still maybe show like you still design for people maybe to not have a large monitor.
Mhm.
um, especially if you're selling to anybody over the age of 40. Like it's just like like my dudes. Anyway, okay. So let's whip these suckers on and we're gonna see what we can see. Okay. I mean I can see the icons better, but they are still so small. Um Also very spacious, like in that like I feel like it's not very efficient. Like these are very large rows.
Yeah.
Okay, now we have big text. Yes. Here's the big
Yeah.
text. Uh but pricing page text, like this is so small. If we're going to take up this much space for a row, I would rather have the text be bigger. Like I feel like we can afford that. Like if we're going to make this page as big as it is,
Yeah, it's
cuz most
interesting.
yeah,
It's like they just threw it in there because they other people do.
I mean possibly. I but I'm also kind of like yeah, this should be bigger in my opinion as well.
Yeah, that's small too.
It's real small. Especially when we've got these like big giant is this an H2 or an H1? Let's inspect. H3. No. H3 class equals H4. So
That's an H3?
I
And they just may not be driving people to their pricing
yeah,
page.
that's possible. That is very possible. Although, but it's one
And
of those things where it's like, but if you're going to link to it, you need to expect people to click it.
mhm. Yeah, I mean,
But yeah, you're right. Maybe
it's
they
one of
don't
the
care as
first
much.
things I'll click usually, but
Yeah. Yeah, this text is real small. That's my biggest gripe so far about the pricing page. These rows are very large, but if we're gonna have large rows, I'd rather have the text be bigger. Everything else seems to be pretty straightforward. My thing though is like this is also one of those products too where until you use it, I feel like it's hard to kind of get a gauge for what you need. So, like, I don't know how many tasks I need, for example. I don't know how many. There was another thing that prompts tracked. I don't know what that means yet. Pages monitored makes a little bit of sense to me, but some of the other things I just don't know what they mean yet. And one of the best practices on a pricing page is for anything that you need to define, you could create like hover text. Airtable used to do this really well, but you would create like hover text where like if I hover over prompts tracked, it pops up like a description of what that means and what it is. And in some cases, you can make it even clickable. Like I should be able to click into this to learn more about the feature or whatever it is. It's one of the best practices. It's not a requirement, but that is how I would improve that page. And sometimes um, you can even like improve the like you can add like a preview. Like if someone hovers over personas, for example, you could include like a little video GIF or like a animation of what that literally is or does. So
mm,
sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't, but it's interesting like what you can do there. Um, yeah, let's see. I think that's everything. And then let's check out the platform pages. Okay, this is interesting. I've never seen this before. Um, they're
mhm.
basically treating their menu like a page element.
Yeah.
So this is a callback to that module that we saw earlier on the homepage of insights to action. Okay, yeah. So this
Mm.
is what I would consider to be a more typical, like, product page. I say typical. That's not a bad thing. It's just more like, this is what we're used to. Like, we're used to seeing the image on the right with the header and, like, the value props. This is more like a tab, though, situation, which is what I was talking about also earlier. So this is pretty common for us to see on a site like this.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, pretty. Definitely, like, yeah, like this again, this feels like a pretty modern platform. We've seen elements like this. I like how big this image is. Uh, we've got our social cred, some of the same brands that we've seen before. They're pretty consistent with their social cred in terms of, like, who they're showcasing. Like, they're definitely showcasing, like, these are, our best and brightest customers, which makes sense. Um, yeah, this is a pretty common module that we would see. We've seen that module before. Get in leader, we're driving growth. That's cute. That's like a that's a callback to Mean Girls. That's funny. I like that.
Oh, is it?
Uh, yeah, get in loser, we're going shopping.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
That is that's such a deep cut. Maybe not like a deep, deep cut, but, like, I think that they're assuming that they're marketing to millennials here,
Yep.
particularly uh, millennial women who, statistically speaking, probably are overseeing content slash growth.
Yeah.
So makes
Yep.
sense. Uh, big text again, yay. Yeah, it's really just that little text that's like so hard to
Yeah.
see on the pricing page in particular.
That's so
And
funny.
this
That blue really is it's like
right?
it just maybe that's the point. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a pretty blue. It's
It is.
unexpected. You're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, okay. The brand has gone in this direction. Okay." And it's cohesive when you see all the pieces together, but I guess, like, you don't get introduced to those other elements until a little bit later, but
Yeah.
it's such a small thing though. Like, I'm sure they do have, like, a defined brand guide, but experiencing it is very different, I think. Um, yeah, and I'm sure, like, not all pages are probably up to date, and they're working on that. Like, it's in progress. I was gonna say, oh, this text feels extremely small,
Mhm.
especially compared to, like, homepage. Yeah, like, this feels more balanced.
Yeah.
Again, these are tiny, tiny, tiny nitpicks. I don't even wanna call them nitpicks, they're just, like, noticing things. See every opportunity to prioritize your next best action. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is, AirOps is basically telling me that it's gonna help me track things, and, um, I'm gonna assume action is all about, like, executing the thing. Yeah, take action to win across blah. Mhm. It does feel, is repetitive the word? Yeah. Okay. So that's probably my biggest, maybe my second biggest, recommendation. Uh, I think some pages do need to be differentiated a little bit. These are basically the same elements. So this is a repeat element. This is the same component slash module, but different content.
Mhm.
And then this is repeat, and then this is repeat.
Yeah.
So, and then this is also repeat. So my question would be, like, what do you really want people to understand about this job's to be done? So there's insights, and then there's taking action. Um, I don't know if we're at a stage where, like, we've reached, like, peak AI where people need, like, examples of what to take action on, but there are a number of things I think that, we can probably expand the action section a bit and kind of highlight, like, different parts of the platform a little bit more, in a structured way. Same thing for potentially insights. But again, it depends. I think if you're looking at a product like this, and this is the tricky part too, because, like, they probably are selling to, like, CMOs and VPs and leadership, but you do need content leaders internally, like contributors, to own actually using this. Because chances are,
Mhm.
like, the CMOs are going to be, like, doing this themselves, or by themselves. So I think, like, making it really clear at each level what to do or who it's for or how to use it, I think would also be helpful. I get that they're selling like the vision though. Okay, yeah. So they do have like team-based pages, which is smart. All right. I think are we ready to sign up?
Let's do
I
it.
feel like we've looked at most things. I am curious about their customer stories if they're like super fancy. So design wise, this is probably the not the weirdest page. I probably would update this design. We get the logo twice, which I don't know if we need. I like that there are KPIs. Then we get the title. Um, I almost wish that we could like filter by business type or industry or something,
Mhm.
or maybe even like problem solved. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, yeah, this is something I would probably redesign. But even still, I love that it's here. Like I love that it exists. If that makes any sense.
Yep.
I was looking for Webflow. Here we go. Webflow. Okay, yeah, I love the TLDR. Cute.
Mhm.
Key results. Yeah, their paragraph text is small. I would just like bump up the paragraph text just like a little bit. Um, the customer. Okay, they have a video. The problem. Okay, these are in-depth case studies. You don't see that often.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually it's just like a couple of blocks with like big text and it's done. But that's actually like thorough. That's cool. Okay. All right. Let's sign up because I want to make sure that we get to like some of the interesting parts, like the cool parts that I was trying. All right, so I'm gonna click start free trial. Now we don't know pricing. Oh, this logged me in immediately. Let me log out.
Hmm.
Uh, and let's see if I can figure out how to log out. This was me playing with it earlier and being like, I want to actually like do a try with me for this. Here we go. Okay. So I want to airops.com start free trial, see what it does. It might take me to that same page. Okay, yeah. Okay. So I'm actually going to do like a manual sign up and not Google. Actually, I can do Google. That's fine. Let's sign up with Google. I can just use my other account. Yeah. Yep. So this is like a pretty typical um like social sign in. Okay. This is the part that I thought was interesting. The only platform that takes you from insight to action, ready to get started, continue setting up your workspace. So here
Mm.
they are giving me an option to book a demo or to continue to AirOps. Now I will say that because I am in this process, they're assuming that I want to start a trial. But if I'm paying attention, I could book a demo. Now, someone moving very quickly might not see this button. And I thought that was like, huh, oh, that's interesting. It's also on the left, but it makes sense that it's on the left because they're assuming that the thing that you want to do is probably this thing. But if I wanted to make sure that people saw this button, I might change the color. It does get hidden a little bit. I think most users trying AirOps probably are going to be a bit like product and tech savvy and also like design aware. So they probably won't miss this. I can't say that for all industries or all profiles, but I think the ones that they're targeting will probably notice this button. However, just to make it a little bit more visible, I probably would change the color. I liked this. I just felt like it was, I don't know, like I feel like these images maybe need a little bit more justice done to them. They feel very small,
A little
but
boring.
yeah, like I was a little bit like, okay, like I'm not really sure. I just remember being like, I'm just gonna blitz right by this. Like I kind of was like, yep, uh-huh. nothing that made me stop and pause and kind of like create excitement. But that's okay on I think a screen like this. You might not want that necessarily. Like you might want people to just be like, "Yep, this, I should click this button and keep it moving." Um, so I'm going to go ahead and continue to AirOps. I'm going to set up my AirOps workspace. I'm going to use I'm going to have to use something. I'll use offering tree. Offeringtree.com. So this is a very simple process. I like the social credibility here. Click continue, personalize your workspace. Your answers help us customize AirOps to your role and experience. This is probably for my company. How comfortable are you building how comfortable are you building or using AI tools? I have some experience. I would not say I'm advanced, but yeah. Yeah, I haven't really built workflows personally. Okay, review your competitors. Oh wow, that's cool.
Interesting.
It pulled it in automatically. That is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
We'll use this list to compare your brand's visibility against competitors across topics. So I've been okay. Huh? I would say a Vagaro, not as much. Moments, probably. Competitor domain, moments.com. And yeah, apart from that, I probably wouldn't say Acuity actually. I'll do another one. Arqueta. Arqueta.com. Oh my gosh, I cannot type behind my mic. Arqueta.com. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Okay. Review your initial prompts. So my assumption here is prompts are questions that people would be typing into LLMs to find, in theory, my business. But if they type in those prompts and I don't pop up, that's an opportunity. Like that's a gap, basically. And I'm just reading this now. So we built your initial prompt list based on your brand, audience, and competitors, targeting the AI searches where you want to be mentioned and cited. Later, you'll scale this by adding custom prompts and even your own first-party data sources to discover prompts. Ah, that's interesting. When I first signed up, and when we get into the product, I'll explain this more. But when I first signed up, I missed that. And I was really stuck on adding prompts. I was like, how do you add prompts? Like I just could not figure it out. And even your own first party data sources to discover prompts. Interesting. Okay.
What's
yeah, and I remember go ahead.
What's the topic drop down if you click on the little point arrow down? Oh, okay, so it put together.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and like I could go through these and like really customize them. How to automate yoga booking classes, how to automate yoga class bookings. Yeah, these are all very yoga, which in my mind makes me think, okay, like that's one slice of the pie for the business.
Dog.
Yeah, dog. But there are others. I'd be curious, like, how does one take this process and repeat it again for other verticals where there's a lot of prompts, like all at once? This just popped up and it was like skip onboarding. I don't know if you noticed this in the bottom corner. Probably because I'm taking forever on this page. And it's like, okay, keep it moving.
I didn't notice it. Did it wasn't there the whole time?
No, I'm almost positive it just popped up. This is very easily like unfindable. I would probably move this button over here. Like I would put it next to the continue button. I would have it appear here. So it's a little bit more easily to see. I'm almost positive that this popped up while we were like looking at this list. Probably because again, I'm taking forever. This looks good to me. Like I don't even it's tough. This is like the tough part. Oh, stuff is happening. I'll hold my thought, but okay. It looks like we've got like a loading screen. There are two scrolls happening at the same time. Keep content updated. Okay, yeah, it's just going back to the testimonials. Okay, there's a lot of movement happening on the screen. It's probably because it wants me to feel like something is happening. but there was a lot happening just now, which is probably fine, but I don't even really like, it seems like it was just, like, building my account or, like, building my profile, etcetera. The thing I was gonna say earlier was, workflows like that that are like, we did the analysis for you, here are your top prompts. Their goal is obviously to don't put me in a product with empty data. Like, they don't want me in an empty environment. They want me in an environment with stuff in it. That makes sense. The tricky part though is it's tough for me to know how important or critical those are. You know what I mean? Like, as a new
Yep.
user, like, I don't know how important that is. Like, how mission critical are these prompts? And and once I learn the product, how do I fix it? So that was my other, like, kinda step that I was like, "Oh, I'm stuck on this." But anyway,
Mhm.
okay, your competitors are performing you in AI search, but we've identified your high priority opportunities to improve. Cool. Um, okay, cool. See opportunities and invite members. Oh, you know what? Maybe that skip onboarding was always there. I'm gonna look at back at the recording and be like, "Oh, it was there. Maybe not. Maybe it's
Well, we'll
time."
know. We had the recording.
It's true. Okay, yeah. Mention rate rankings. Yep, that's cool compared to our competitors. Makes sense. Yeah. These are depressing numbers. See opportunities and invite members. Invite your team to see this. Um, I am gonna skip for now, but yeah, this makes sense. Invite your teams. I like how it's more like invite your teams to see it rather than invite your team to, like, start using the product because I don't know
Yeah.
who's gonna
W
use it.
Right, and then on the right, that's cool, like, your team should see this, and to your point, this may be a CMO type VP, but their content team is
Mhm.
going to clearly be working with it.
Mhm. Yep, 100%. Yeah, I can invite 10 people. Okay. I'm gonna skip for now. And look at how, like, we're not done yet.
Wow.
I don't remember it being like I blitzed through it, to be honest. Like, I didn't really spend much time thinking too hard. I just kind of, like, click, 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 let's go. So it does feel faster than how, like, we're obviously taking our time because 'cause we're live streaming, but I remember thinking like, "Oh my gosh, this is like, I'm like, I just wanna be done." There are so many steps. Okay. I don't know why I have to click this, but I'm going to. Start free trial. Okay.
Yay.
Yeah, yay. So that's funny to me because, like, I think they know that they need a dopamine hit at this point. They're like, "You need some dopamine. Here you go." This is we know this is long.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe that was like, okay, formally start your trial. Um, I do like this page. Like, today your free trial begins. You'll get a reminder February 16th, you'll choose a plan. Yeah. See custom opportunities. Oh, there's more. I don't remember all of this when I signed up. How will you use AirOps? Maybe it's because I put for my business and not for myself. Maybe so remember, like, when I signed up and I was like, this is for my company and not for
Yeah.
me. That this might be why actually. I wonder if there's like a special experience if you select that option. How will I use AirOps? Probably content creation, potentially refresh. Let's get you your first win. I do like this language.
Yeah, and then they have
Can I
15
expand this?
opportunities.
Okay. This makes me think I can expand it. Okay. Okay. Cool. Click continue. How are your top content creation opportunities? Here are your top content creation opportunities. Okay, gotcha. Cool. Interesting that it picked dance. That's interesting. Okay. Again, I don't really know what this is.
What is
I
that
remember
target
when I
prompts? Can you click sorry.
no, no, no.
Can you click on that?
I can hover. How to become a
Okay, those are
certified
the
dance
prompts, yeah.
instructor. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Top website platforms for dance studios. Mhm. Oh, I remember this. I remember this. I remember being like, this is too many words.
Is this small?
This is small,
Mhm.
100%. I remember thinking it's
My
not
eyes
only
hurt.
small, that and also, like, at this stage, I don't wanna read anything. I feel like it already asked me a lot of hard questions, but this is important because, as we're gonna see later, like, this is how AirOps kinda makes decisions about what content to create and how to create it. Um, and it's populating stuff. Like it's doing some of the thinking for you, but you still really need to like the assumption is that you're going to put in the energy to like make sure that this is kind of buttoned up. But in case you're not ready to do it now, we've pre-created it for you. So, if you're not ready, that's okay. And I get what it's doing, but I will say, I feel cognitive overload looking at this page. I'm like, this is a lot to look at. But I also understand why it's necessary. Now, again, we don't know how this performs. We don't know if people drop off. We don't know when they drop off. We don't know. So we can't make any assumptions here. But I did feel like, oh man, I have more things to do. Y'all want me to keep signing up in this process? Uh, but yeah, we can generate content. Again, I think if you want people to be able to skip, maybe I never noticed this until, earlier, but I probably would move that button just so people can have more of like they can just notice it. Okay, so we actually get into the product. And the first thing that happens is a workflow. So we don't get a video, and this isn't bad. I'm just saying like this is different from what we've seen in the past where some products would do like, oh, you get it like a pop-up video or maybe you get, Mango Mint has like an onboarding guide, like a getting started kind of guide. This is doing a like visual like workflow for okay, this is where you do this. This is where you do that. Annotations, I think is what it's called. So this is doing like annotations as a workflow. It wants me to, it's just letting me know like what's what. And if I'm not mistaken, I can't really X out of it. I'm
Well,
actually
there's
not
an
sure how to
X
make
there.
progress. Next, where do you see that?
No, an X.
Oh, an X. Okay, enter an input. Inputs get passed into the blue workflow columns when they run. Each row of the inputs. Okay, yeah. Are you sure you'd like to skip this tutorial? Well, no. But I'm not sure how to advance it. I remember thinking this last time. I didn't know how to advance the tutorial. Like, yes, okay, cool. Like, am I missing a button?
It's hard for me to see. Well,
Yeah,
can you press wait, there's nothing to say don't skip?
no. Oh, whoa.
You just
I
clicked?
clicked a button, but maybe there's something that you can't see in here.
So if you just click, will it go to number 2?
Clicking.
No.
No.
Huh.
I remember getting stuck on this last time too, and I was like, I don't actually know what to do. But then I would click the X and it was like a skip tutorial. And I was like, I mean, I don't know. I literally don't see any other button. I'm clicking all throughout this thing. Okay, I have no idea how to advance this.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe, and I don't know. But I tried several things and I was like, I can't figure it out. So I just exited it. So it seems like there's a button
Oh, there's a
here.
button, yeah. Click that.
So
Oh, so
that
that's
brings
what
me
you
back to
clicked.
this.
Yeah, that's what you
Yeah.
clicked, yeah.
But yeah, there's no, I don't know. Skipping.
Yep.
And this is kind of where I was like, okay, I'm kind of lost.
Mhm.
But again, it's not unfigure outable, but so there is a concept that I do remind people of in especially in product led growth companies. Now this seems to be more they probably are maybe more sales led. I don't know. I mean, book a demo seems to be the primary call to action for them. So maybe they're more sales led and they're less product led, but maybe they've got some balance of both, where maybe it's like product led with sales assist. Well, like they've got maybe all of them, and probably very little of their revenue actually comes through like pure self serve, no sales assistance at all. But I will say, maybe the assumption isn't that people like me will come through. And then also, I think the other thing too is like, it's also very possible that like when people get to this stage, they're making the assumption that either people are like yep, I'm going to go through the sales process, or like they're kind of like placing a stake in the ground. Like at this point, like if you're here, like if you've made it, you probably are committed to the process. But the other thing too is um, survivor bias is a concept that I do talk about, and it's kind of what drives, I think, a lot of how we think about products, and in some good ways and in some bad ways. So I'm highly motivated because of what I'm doing, but and also because like I genuinely wanted to try this for myself and for my own business. But when I think about like survivor bias, basically says if if people sign up for your product and they make it, then that means it makes sense for everyone. And that's actually not true. It's really more like I'm a survivor. I have lived through this experience. Most other people quit. And that's not a good thing necessarily. So anyway, that
Mhm.
I didn't probably explain that as eloquently as I would have liked to, but because my brain is fried. But yeah.
Yeah. No, no, that makes
I
sense.
remember I remember getting to this point though and just being like, Okay, I don't really know what's next." Um,
So, it's the top of the hour for me, which means I have to jump, Asia, but
oh, sure.
I'll let you continue this, and I'm curious your few next steps here when I look
Yeah,
back.
for sure. Thanks for joining, Kim.
Yeah, thanks, this was fun.
Bye. Um, yeah. So this was my stopping point. I really wasn't sure what was next. I think I clicked randomly like run workflow because I was like, okay, this is what I see. Um, this product is structured. I mean, like this feels like we've seen products like this before. This feels familiar. Like I don't feel like I'm lost. I think I'm just more like, what is the most critical thing for me to do next in the product, um, that would help me understand its value and that would help me get what I want out of it. Now, I think when I signed up like for the first time, I was very like, "Oh, I should I should maybe see like if it can if like what does actually creating the content look like? Like what does that actually look like?" And I remember like I think I hit like run workflow a couple times. And it does its thing, like it'll create the brief, the analysis, and then you can click run workflow again, and it'll actually create the article and it'll pop it out. It'll spit it out over here. I remember being like, "Oh, that is cool. Got it." Um, but I also remember thinking like, what else can it do? And then also, what are all of my other options? Like what else is AirOps capable of? So I would say visually, there are a couple of things that my eye gravitates towards. The first is this is purple and it makes me want to click this. Like it's the only thing like it sticks out the most on this page. And I remember thinking like, I feel like that's not what I'm supposed to do next because nothing in here is complete. And I just get the impression that like this wants me to go through the process. But it also wants to introduce me to concepts like workflows and here's how you can get more value out of the thing. Um, and yeah, and I think this is kind of where, like, I kinda got stuck a little bit. So, I understand the concept, but I think for me, I was just like, "How do I now action?" Like, how do I if I think about, like, jobs to be done, maybe my job is to streamline my content creation workflow, or maybe my job is I want to, improve my, like, rankings for AI search, or maybe my job is to create content at scale based off of AI search prompts or whatever. And when I think about those processes, I admittedly was like, I think I get how to use this, but I'm not really sure if that's the best way. So I will just for just for funsies, I'm gonna click. I'm gonna start this workflow process. It's gonna go through. It's gonna do stuff. It's actually pretty impressive. Like the output, what it does. Um, I think one of my questions too was like, maybe I don't need AI to help me create the brief. Um, or maybe I do need it to help me create the brief. But maybe I also want to be able to feed AirOps a different source of content that it can then turn that into an article based off of some other parameters or like rules or conditions or whatever. And I was kind of thinking like, that would be really cool. How would I do that? Uh, and it wasn't immediately obvious, but I think as we kind of click through here, it's interesting like how it works. But again, I definitely get the impression that this is all about control. Okay, so this says review needed. I say control, but it's all about like control over the process. If that makes any sense. Okay. So, okay, yeah. I remember this being like, oh, okay, yeah, this is kind of telling me um, like what here are some options. So let's see, title selection. And this is tough too because I have no context, I guess. Like I would probably need to have my SEO tool or something pulled up next to this and be like, "Oh, okay, like the title should be this," or what have you. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, this is the question, I guess, or the prompt. Accept output? I don't know. And again, this is kind of where I was like, I don't really know. Is this I mean, it seems like it's building the thing that I want for me. But I'm not really sure what comes next. Anyway, I digress. So that's this view. AirOps is interesting though because they use like they've got okay, so this is one of the I think primary workflows if I'm not mistaken or no. It says grid. It's a grid. I don't know what a grid is. So I'm like I said, I'm a little lost. And this is the action section. And if I recall correctly from the website, it's all about like going from insights to action. There's analytics. And this was, the analysis that they kind of sent earlier. There's not really any data in here, probably because I don't have anything like configured to anything. Like I don't have anything integrated yet. Um, but yeah, that's like, uh, so a lot of the pages that I'm finding are okay. I don't know what to do. Anything like I don't know what to do what with what yet. um, which I'm assuming I will learn as we go. Okay, so pages. This gives me my site pages. Um, Again, no data really in here yet because this is obviously like a new account. It's not going to be able to pull retroactive data. We've got to connect everything. Like, there's a whole bunch of like integrations I probably need to think about and set up. But I remember thinking like, okay, so it kind of seems like a place where I can drop these things in. And here are all of my prompts. One of my big, I guess, like not sticking points, but like friction moments was okay. I can see how to add prompts. Um, I am not sure where to get prompts. You know what I mean? So, am I getting prompts from like SEMrush or Ahrefs or where are the prompts coming from? And how do I know that they're real prompts? Like, how do I know that they're legit? And I don't know if this is in their products feature of like doing searches to find prompts to just automatically add into the workflow because that's like a whole part of the process that I was definitely stuck on. And then also like, yeah, like are these legit prompts? Like how many searches do they get? And you can click into them and you'll get a little bit of data. But because this is a new account, I don't actually know really anything in here yet, at least. And that's not a bad thing. Again, it's just I I see them wanting to avoid, like, the blank slate, but I also one of the challenges here is there's some data and context that's missing, and I think because of that, it makes it hard to, like, actually mobilize and operationalize. I would say, though, looking at the product, it looks very fancy and very cool. I think visually, like, yep, this feels like a modern tool. It's actually so much so that I don't even really see the design really anymore. Now I'm just kind of like, "Okay, like, how do I, like, do the thing. And what am I supposed to do the thing, like, with and how? Um, and to be fair, they do have, um oh, this opened up another tab. They have a knowledge base. They also have, like, a university, like an AirOps university. They have materials, like, they have stuff for you to learn. I think my only not qualm, but I guess, like, my recommendation would be that for people with ADHD like me who wanna move a mile a minute and, like, how do you like what's the resource that you build for someone who wants to move very fast? And then also too, like I thrive best in scenarios where I can see and understand like the different use cases. And I can imagine certain things for sure. Like that's not an issue. I think it's just more like, okay, but like practically how would I deploy that vision for that particular use case? I think that's where I can get certainly stuck sometimes. That brand kit that we saw earlier is here, so you can go in here and like actually edit it and like really spend some time on it and like make it your own. What I do like about this is you can set content types, meaning like when you do create content with AirOps, which you probably will, you can create like playbooks for how to format and design the thing, which I thought was cool. And you can even give it like a sample piece of content and kind of tell it, like, yep, here's what this looks like. You can tell it all kinds of things. You can tell it, what products and services do you offer? Who are your audience members? What regions do you sell to? Like, there are some things in here that basically creates a foundation for the AI to, adhere to your rules. You're basically creating rules for the product. And I just remember thinking, like, okay, yeah, like that makes a lot of sense. I love that. That's really smart. I think for me, I was getting stuck on, okay, I don't really have a whole lot of data in here yet, at least. And I'm just not sure, like, what's my next best step? I can see the opportunities, sorry, I guess, like, the grids? Again, I'm not there's some language here that I'm missing, and I think it's just because I'm not, like, really taking my time, like, reading things. But I remember getting confused under the action section because browse doesn't mean I don't know what browse means. I guess I would expect under actions that there's, like, a link to grids and workflows. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I remember being really confused by actions. I was like, "Okay, I get the actions part. I just don't get the browse. Like, what does browse mean?" And is it, like, all of my actions? Yeah, the navigation felt confusing on the action side, clear on the insight side, but confusing for actions because I just wasn't sure, like, "Wait, how do I get to workflows again?" And it's like, you gotta click browse to get to workflows, and I just thought that was so, like, I don't know, I just thought it was a little backwards. I probably would have a link under actions for grids and workflows, and if I create yeah, I could create a grid, but I just don't know what a grid is. And I mean, I know what it literally is, you know what I mean? Like, well, what's a grid in the context of this product? So this is kind of where I was a little stuck. Okay, so this is the output. I can open it. Online yoga classes, and I think like what it's doing is cool. Like I don't think this part to me is fine. I just think I'm a little stuck on like how do I like now what's next? What's the next step for me after we get all of our prompts? And then also how do I get more prompts in? What should I be using to get more prompts? And then control over the workflow process. So what this actually produces, like I said, is pretty cool. It shows you, like the logs and like the output. Like this is actually what it's creating. I'm not sure what open in studio means. I remember thinking like, I don't know what that is, but okay, cool. And then you can, in theory, take this output and then run this workflow. And this will actually create the content itself, which again, pretty cool. Um, and yeah, like they are breaking out every step of the process. So that way you can, again, have control over the final output. And what I would imagine that they really want you to feel confident in is every single one of these columns is a step and you get to determine and dictate like what that step looks like in theory. Um, I remember thinking I just didn't understand like yeah, I don't know. It's like it's almost like how do you introduce someone to the concept of creating like an AI workflow or like a workflow where it takes parts and it creates a final product, but you've broken out the steps and now you're creating something like super awesome. Someone far more experienced in AI will have a way better time with a product like this. I was like, "Oh yeah, I've used AI before. I know what this looks like." And then I get in here and I'm like, "Oh, I'm actually lost. Like I don't really know." But all that to say, you know, I think there are gonna be differing, like, experience levels with something like this, and I think it'll be interesting to see how AirOps operationalizes for each of those experience levels. Okay, last thing I wanna show you, and then we will jump because I know we're over time, but I do wanna show workflows because I remember being like, "Whoa," my mind is blown a little bit. So, again, I think part of the compelling part about AirOps is that they give you control over every step to creating the final output. And workflows enable you to do that even better than, you know, trying to give a million different directions to an LLM. Instead, you separate the overarching process into several steps that you again more give individual control. Like you give more specific details to create the better output. So workflows, and this again was where I was like, I have no idea. I have no idea what to do or like how to build a workflow. I mean, like I've done like automations before, like in various marketing automation platforms. Like the concept of building some type of process like this, like with a workflow builder, not lost on me. Like I totally get it. But I think again, I'm definitely we love a template. We love a use case. For me, I was just like, okay, what's the template version for like how I would use this for something specific? And because building it from scratch, very intimidating, at least for me. But the options that it gives you, I mean, there are so many options. There are so many different things that you can do. So there's a part of me that's like this tells me, oh, there's like stuff for me to do here. And then I was thinking, oh, I bet there's probably like you could probably build a workflow to populate all of your prompts. Like there's probably things you can do to automate a lot of what I just talked about. But I think the getting there and like building it and seeing it is it's just very different. So anyway, um, I still don't know what a power agent is, but it looked cool. Yeah, I just have a lot of questions. I'm like, what is this? What does that mean? And how important is this? And what does all of this do? Um, and then like like what is browse really? Again, these are all very hyper specific. And probably just like a me thing. But anyway, I did think it was cool. I am curious how AirOps sees it, and I'm sure like the more that I use it, the more I'm gonna be like, "Oh, okay, this is how like this is really like the ideal way or like the best possible scenario. And these are all the parts and here's why they're like this." And I'm sure like the more that I learn it, the more I'm gonna be like, "Oh, okay, I get it." But I will say coming into this kind of being like I'm like wandering into this based off of a recommendation from someone else, I was definitely lost. I'm not gonna lie. Um, so I think key takeaways for me are, well, there are a few. I do think being really, I think maybe where some of this tension could be alleviated would be on some of those internal product pages where remember I was looking at like the insights page versus like the actions page and I was like, oh, these are kind of the same. They just have like they're using like the same modules. I feel like those pages could be expanded to tell maybe a slightly more expanded version of the story and making it really clear like here's what's possible with this and here's what's possible with that. They do actually have a templates library. So they do have a templates library. I'm not sure. I don't remember how to get there. Um that's the other thing too is I do feel like navigation might need a little bit of love, but that might just be me. Um ugh, I genuinely remember being like, okay, yeah, you can create a sheet from a workflow. Search workflows? Okay, just kidding. uh there is a way to and maybe here we go from template. Okay. So grids have templates. Workflows don't, but I don't know. Yeah, I just feel like libraries are going to be like critical for a product like this, especially for something where you just don't know what you don't know yet and you're not really sure like what's actually critical in the product versus not. Then there's also like I think the other things too that I've taken away is um there's there's a very fine line between okay, like we're setting up the account and it's like you remember how long like the setup flow was, like the sign up flow, like it was pretty long. And I actually had to confirm that my account was starting. I don't know if you remember that. There were two screens where it was like, "Yep, start my trial. Okay, your trial's been created. Okay, great. Now get to the product." I remember being like, and like they gave you like the dopamine hit. So I think like moments like that are important. But I would be really, really, really interested in okay, what's we don't want to show an empty account because the analysis paralysis is very real in that scenario. I think it's also very much like, okay, if we give them some information, what's the next best possible thing we want them to do after that? So now that they've done that, what do we need them to do? That's the other big takeaway. I think there's a third takeaway that's like, let's just do some like quick UX checks or like design checks. So like the pricing page, like, we talked about the text was really small. Um, when I signed up and I was in this view, it started to do like a walkthrough, but the walkthrough I think was broken. Like we couldn't figure out how to advance it. So I'm positive that there are things that I have missed. But it's because of just like small things like that where, oh, like I missed a button or I missed a click or I couldn't figure out how to like advance the screen, whatever. So it's like little things like that that just need to be double checked. So that way someone like me can kind of come in and like really figure something out. And you're not depending on me to take a class or watch like a 20-minute or 30-minute video. Because that of course would be too much. And then also too, I think it's worth looking at every screen and just being like, okay, what's the thing that someone is going to accomplish on the screen? Because my brain wants to click add power agent real bad, but I don't know what that means yet. And especially if I'm new to the product, I'm like, I really don't know what that means. I can guess, but yeah. So what this is going to require on my end is I'm going to have to probably read a lot more documentation and read more like examples and use cases, and that's more work on my end. Um, I will probably survive because I am willing to do that. Most people probably aren't. So I'm not sure what the conversion rates are for AirOps, but if I had to guess, they probably kill it when it's sales assisted or sales led, but maybe self-service may or may not struggle. I don't know. We don't know. There's no way to know. But if I had to guess, people at least in my profile type or persona type probably do get stuck. So, every screen, what's the next best step that someone should be taking? So, if I do all of this, if I get here, what's my reward now for having done all of this, getting here, and what's next? And then also too, like what are my goals? I don't know that did this ask me what my goals were? I don't think it did. I mean, it asked me if I wanted to optimize or if I wanted to create net new content. So, it's putting me in that scenario for sure. But yeah, that's kind of like the next best way to think about it too is okay, if I want to create net new content, how do I now do that? And then showing me how to do that. But then also, are there other goals that I have? For example, in my mind, I was like, oh, I can create like maybe processes at scale to help create content at scale. But if that's the case, then there's steps along the way. I've got to continually add new prompts that are connected to questions and keywords, and like what's the process for that? And then there's a process for like, okay, so I've adjusted these things or I've created these things. But now how do I yeah, I can configure inputs. Yeah, there's a lot here. There's a lot. There's a lot to figure out. Um there are many things to configure and knobs and dials to turn, but I think I'd be curious like, yeah, how do we consolidate all of that into something that's a little bit more bite sizable? And then the more confident people get with it, the more they can be like, oh, I know exactly where to go to configure that or like what to do or what it should look like. Templates honestly would help a lot. Sandbox environments would also help a lot. We learned that from Mango Mint last week. But anyway, I digress because we are very much over time. Thank you so much for watching. There was a lot here. I'm curious, like, if you try out AirOps, like, what you think, and also, like, I'd be curious, like, what am I missing? Because I'm certainly I get a feel for what this is going to do, but I would be curious, like, what are we missing? And then I think the last thing is, yeah, like if you like these, we are going to try to create text versions of these live streams. So you don't obviously have to be with me the entire like hour or whatever. Uh, but all that to say, continue following, subscribing if you're on YouTube, like, follow, subscribe, all the things. We'll continue doing these as long as we have products to try that are interesting, at least. And in the meantime, check out demandmaven.io for more information on how we can help your SaaS optimize their activation experience, also troubleshoot growth in general across all of the different main branches of growth. And also, that's where you're going to find our written summaries of what we've learned and what we discovered for each of the products that we try. Okay, cool. Thanks for watching. This was super fun. And also, thanks for Kim joining in the first part. And we'll catch you on the next one.